The other day I made a video going over 5 things that I love about the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection. So as promised, in this video I'll be going over 5 things that I hate about the Battlefront Classic Collection, because it has been far from the perfect launch. So I just wanted to highlight some of my personal issues. Before I do get into that though, make sure you are subscribed to the channel with the notification bell turned on to never miss a piece of Battlefront Classic content. There is plenty of videos on the way, and actually Star Wars Hunters should be getting an update next week as well, so make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that. Now I have to say I do feel quite lucky with this game because I haven't had too many issues myself, so I think I mostly speak for people who have had other issues that I have been noticing. But the first thing I hate straight up is just the fact that the game had so many server problems when the game launched. I appreciate server issues can happen. If you look at Helldivers 2 for example, they weren't expecting anywhere near the number of players that that game got at launch, so there were server problems at the beginning, but I think that was mostly just due to a player count issue, and the game itself for the most part I think ran fine. But the Classic Collection had a lot of issues like rubber banding, lag spiking, and just all sorts of issues, which again probably is to do with the player numbers, but given how much Battlefront is a loved franchise for so many people out there, I think they should have been far better prepared for the numbers that they were expecting. I appreciate some things aren't in everyone's control, but I do think they could have had a better start with that. Now the second point is somewhat related to that with the issues of multiplayer, and that is just the hit registration. For the most part the server issues seem to be mostly fixed, but the hit registration on the multiplayer is still pretty shocking, to be honest. It feels like I hit people so many times and they probably should be dead, but it takes twice as long to kill people sometimes, or if not even more. But it does make the multiplayer experience a little bit frustrating for the most part. I am having fun with it, but the hit registration, if that was improved, I think it could be even better. In fact, I know it would be an even better experience. So I really hope that's something that they can get fixed soon as well. Now, the third thing I'm not liking about the Battlefront Classic Collection is the audio glitches and bugs that we've been experiencing. There are kind of two things for this. The main one being that audio is coming from one direction when it's actually happening in a completely different one. So one thing I noticed at one point on stream the other day was that I was hearing some blast fire in my left ear, but in the actual game itself the blast fire was actually happening to the right of me, but because I heard the blast fire on my left, I went left, saw there was nothing there, so I had to turn around. So that overall as an experience is very frustrating, and I really hope that does get patched soon, because that plus the hit registration can be two pretty detrimental things to the overall multiplayer experience. Speaking of multiplayer, the next thing that I'm not liking is the lack of servers really, or even just the lack of full servers. Sometimes there are plenty of servers open to be able to play on, but there is just hardly anyone on them, or sometimes there are just no servers available because the only one that is free is already full. So it's just a little bit of a weird server experience with the game, and I don't know whether that's because so many people are having issues that everyone's refunding it, or most of the people who aren't refunding it are only playing single player stuff only because they don't care about the multiplayer. But regardless, multiplayer is something that I personally really enjoy, and I'm hopefully going to be streaming quite a bit over the next few weeks. But if I can't really find games, then that is going to be really frustrating. And to be honest, all of these points that I'm going over all just lead to back to the same issues really, of Aspire not necessarily being fully prepared to launch this game. I think it really is showing. Now the final point I just want to go over is just overall a lack of response from Aspire Media in general. On Friday morning they did put out a blog post saying that they are working to fix the issues with the servers, and they kind of explained it a little bit, but in that post there was absolutely no responsibility taken. There weren't really any apologies, and there was no real mention of fixing the hit registration or anything like that. So overall it is just a bit frustrating that there's not really been any response from Aspire themselves, and I think overall they've just fumbled the biggest bag ever, to be honest. Countless people probably bought this game, but I've seen so many people refunding it because of the issues that they've been having, and rightly so honestly. If you're not having a good time with the game, definitely refund it, because I think Aspire for the most part have really half-assed this. In fact, shortly before I started recording this video I saw a post about the fact that a modder who put Kit Fisto into the game on PC, the Classic Collection itself is apparently using those exact same files. It's got the exact same bugs and glitches as this modders as well. So overall it's just really unexcusable, and I think there just honestly needs to be some kind of investigation into this, because it's really not acceptable to be putting out a Battlefront game, or even just a Star Wars game in general, in this state. And I don't think I could ever trust Aspire to do anything again. For the single player ports and stuff, Aspire have been absolutely fine, because there genuinely cannot be anything to go wrong. But in terms of multiplayer multiplayer, they are completely inadequate to do this stuff. And if they're putting out a game like this with Battlefront, I'm honestly glad to see that the KOTOR remake was moved away from their studio. But I think I've said enough there really about the topic. Overall, the single player experience with this game has been perfectly fine. So to that end, I do, appreciate what Aspyr have done, but for multiplayer, it's just been an absolute shambles, and that was a pretty big thing for me coming into this game. So I am frustrated about the overall experience with that, and hope that things do get better over the next couple of weeks. But that is it from me today, guys. Let me know what you think about the game in the comments below. Thank you all very much for watching, and may the force be with you always.